This is a quiet place where you can rest while listening to gentle science. The pace will remain slow and even, with soft observations that move calmly from one to the next. Some birds travel thousands of kilometers during migration, guided in part by subtle cues from Earth's magnetic field, which they can sense in ways that remain largely invisible to human perception. You can allow your attention to soften now. There is no need to follow every detail, and no need to hold on to any idea. Each sentence can simply pass by, like a slow current moving through still water. The rhythm will stay steady, without sudden changes. Breathing can settle into a natural pace, and the body can become more at ease with each passing moment. This is a space where information does not demand effort. It simply exists, gently, in the background. Migration is a quiet pattern repeated across the natural world. It is not a single event, but a continuous movement that unfolds in cycles. Many animals move not because of urgency, but because of gradual changes in temperature, light, and availability of resources. In the sky, flocks of birds travel along invisible pathways. These routes are not marked, yet they are followed with remarkable consistency. Year after year, the same general directions are taken, guided by memory, instinct, and environmental signals. The length of daylight plays an important role in migration. As days slowly become longer or shorter, internal systems within animals begin to shift. Hormones adjust in response to changing light, creating a quiet signal that it is time to move. Some birds travel at night, when the air is cooler and calmer. The darkness provides a steady environment, with fewer disturbances. Stars may serve as gentle reference points, helping maintain direction over long distances. Other animals migrate on land, moving slowly across familiar terrain. Herds may follow paths that have been used for generations. These routes can become part of the landscape itself, worn gently into the ground over time. In the ocean, migration takes on a different form. Whales move through vast stretches of water, traveling between feeding and breeding areas. Their journeys are long, yet steady, guided by temperature, currents, and memory. Fish also migrate, often returning to the same rivers or streams where they were born. This return is not rushed. It happens as part of a cycle, influenced by seasonal changes in water flow and temperature. Insects, too, take part in migration. Some butterflies travel across continents, moving in stages across generations. No single individual completes the entire journey, yet the species continues the movement as a whole. Migration does not happen all at once. It begins gradually, with small shifts in behavior. Feeding patterns may change. Resting periods may adjust. These subtle changes build over time until movement begins. The pace of migration is often steady and measured. Animals conserve energy, moving in ways that support long distances without strain. Rest periods are part of the process, allowing recovery before continuing. Weather conditions influence migration gently but consistently. Winds can assist or slow movement. Rain may delay progress. Animals adjust without urgency, responding to conditions as they unfold. Many migratory animals travel in groups. This grouping provides a form of quiet coordination. Movement becomes synchronized, with individuals maintaining awareness of one another through subtle signals. Sound plays a role in some migrations. Low calls or soft signals help maintain contact within a group. These sounds are often simple and repetitive, blending into the natural environment. The routes followed during migration are not always direct. They may curve around obstacles such as mountains, deserts, or large bodies of water. These adjustments create paths that are shaped by geography over time. Memory is an important part of migration. Older individuals may remember routes and resting places, guiding younger ones along the way. This knowledge is passed quietly through shared movement rather than instruction. In some cases, animals rely more on instinct than memory. Even without prior experience, they move in consistent directions. This suggests that migration is supported by internal systems that operate without conscious thought. Temperature changes act as gentle signals. A gradual warming or cooling can influence the timing of movement. These changes are not sudden, but steady, allowing animals to respond in a calm and measured way. Food availability is another factor. As seasons shift, certain areas provide more resources than others. Migration allows animals to remain in environments where food is more easily found. Water sources can also guide movement. Rivers, lakes, and seasonal rains create patterns that animals follow. These patterns are not fixed, but they repeat often enough to form reliable pathways. The energy required for migration is stored gradually. Animals may increase feeding before beginning their journey. This preparation is quiet and steady, building reserves over time. During migration, movement often follows a rhythm. Periods of travel are balanced with periods of rest. This balance helps maintain energy and supports long-distance travel without strain. Some animals travel alone, while others remain in groups. Both patterns are effective, depending on the species and environment. The choice is not random, but shaped by long-term adaptation. The landscape itself changes with migration. Paths become visible where many feet have passed. Waterways show signs of repeated use. These traces remain even after the animals have moved on. Migration is not always visible. Much of it happens quietly, without notice. Animals move at night, underwater, or through remote areas, continuing their journeys without interruption. Even when unseen, migration remains a constant presence in the natural world. It connects distant places, linking ecosystems through movement. The timing of migration is not exact. It can vary slightly from year to year. Small differences in weather or environment can shift the start or pace of movement. Despite these variations, the overall pattern remains stable. Migration continues as part of a larger rhythm that repeats across seasons. There is no single reason for migration. It is the result of many small influences working together. Light, temperature, food, water, and internal cycles all contribute to the decision to move. This combination creates a process that feels steady and balanced. There is no rush, no urgency. Only a gradual transition from one place to another. As these movements continue across the world, they create a quiet sense of connection. Different species, in different environments, all responding to the same gentle changes in the planet. The result is a continuous flow of life, moving in patterns that are both simple and complex at the same time. Across open plains, large herds move slowly, often in a loose formation that shifts gently as they travel. There is no fixed arrangement, yet the group maintains a quiet cohesion, with individuals adjusting their position in response to subtle cues from those nearby. The ground beneath them carries faint traces of past journeys. Paths form not from a single passage, but from repeated movement over time. Each step adds to a pattern that becomes more defined with each season. In colder regions, some animals migrate to avoid extended periods of low temperatures. The movement is not sudden. It begins as a gradual response to cooling air and shortening days, guiding them toward environments that remain more stable. In warmer regions, migration can follow rainfall patterns. Water arrives, vegetation responds, and animals move toward areas where growth has quietly returned. These movements are often tied to cycles that repeat year after year. Birds flying in formation may arrange themselves in shapes that help conserve energy. The air moves differently around each individual, and by positioning themselves carefully, they reduce the effort required to travel long distances. This formation is not rigid. It changes slowly as individuals shift places, allowing others to rest in more efficient positions. The movement remains smooth and continuous, without interruption. At higher altitudes, the air becomes thinner and cooler. Some migratory birds adjust their height depending on conditions, choosing levels where the air supports steady flight with less resistance. Cloud cover, wind direction, and temperature layers all influence these decisions. The adjustments are subtle, made continuously as conditions change. In forests, migration may be less visible but equally present. Animals move through dense vegetation, following routes that wind between trees and across uneven ground. The canopy above may conceal their movement, but the pattern remains consistent. Some species migrate only short distances. These local movements are still part of the same larger process. Even a small shift in location can align an animal with more favorable conditions. Others travel across continents, crossing boundaries that are invisible to them. Their paths extend over mountains, oceans, and wide stretches of land, connecting distant regions through quiet motion. The night sky often becomes part of the journey. Stars provide a stable reference, their positions changing slowly over time. Some animals appear to use these patterns to maintain direction during long periods of travel. The moon can also influence movement. Its light creates subtle changes in visibility, which may affect when certain animals choose to move or rest. On the ground, scent plays a guiding role. Trails left by others can be detected and followed. These scent markers do not remain forever, but they last long enough to assist in maintaining direction. Water currents guide migration in oceans and rivers. Fish and marine mammals often move with these currents, allowing the flow of water to support their journey. The temperature of water layers can create invisible boundaries. Some species remain within specific ranges, adjusting their depth as they travel to stay within comfortable conditions. Insects moving through the air are influenced by wind patterns. Rather than resisting the wind, they often move with it, allowing large-scale atmospheric flows to carry them over great distances. This movement may happen over several generations. Each generation completes part of the journey, continuing the path started by those before. Migration is not always a straight line from one place to another. It often includes stops along the way, where animals rest and feed. These stopover locations are an essential part of the journey. At these points, activity increases briefly. Animals gather, feed, and recover before continuing. Then the area becomes quiet again as they move on. The timing of arrival and departure at these locations can be remarkably consistent. Small variations occur, but the general pattern remains stable across years. Some animals begin their migration alone and join others along the way. Gradually, small groups become larger, forming temporary gatherings that move together. These gatherings do not require direct coordination. Each individual responds to the same environmental signals, creating a shared direction without deliberate planning. In the air, wings move in steady, repetitive patterns. The motion is efficient, designed to support long periods of travel without excessive effort. On land, steps are measured and even. The body moves in a way that conserves energy, allowing the journey to continue without strain. In water, movement is smooth and continuous. Bodies glide through currents, adjusting direction with minimal resistance. The pace of migration is rarely fast. It is steady, maintaining a balance between progress and conservation of energy. Rest is an important part of this balance. During pauses, animals remain alert but still, allowing their bodies to recover before continuing. Some species migrate vertically rather than horizontally. They move up and down mountains or through water layers, adjusting their position based on temperature and resource availability. These movements are smaller in distance but follow the same principles of timing and environmental response. Light continues to guide migration throughout the journey. Changes in sunrise and sunset provide ongoing signals that influence direction and timing. Internal rhythms, often called biological clocks, help maintain these patterns. They respond to light and adjust gradually, keeping movement aligned with seasonal changes. These internal systems operate quietly, without conscious awareness. They provide a steady framework that supports consistent behavior across long periods. Migration connects different ecosystems. Animals carry nutrients, seeds, and energy from one place to another, linking distant environments in subtle ways. As they move, they become part of each landscape they pass through, even if only for a short time. The return journey often follows a similar path, though not always exactly the same. Conditions may differ, leading to slight variations in route or timing. Despite these differences, the overall cycle remains continuous. Movement away is followed by movement back, creating a rhythm that repeats across years. This repetition gives migration a sense of stability. It is a process that changes slightly each time, yet remains familiar in its structure. Even when conditions shift, the underlying pattern persists. Animals adapt, adjusting their movement while maintaining the general flow. There is no single beginning or end to migration. It exists as an ongoing cycle, with different parts visible at different times. At any given moment, somewhere in the world, migration is taking place. Birds are in flight, animals are on the move, and currents are carrying life across vast distances. This continuous motion forms a quiet background to the natural world. It happens without interruption, blending into the steady rhythm of the planet. As this rhythm continues, it creates a sense of balance. Movement and stillness exist together, each supporting the other in a calm and natural way. Along coastlines, migration often follows the gentle curve of the land. Birds move parallel to the shore, using the boundary between land and water as a natural guide. The steady presence of waves and wind creates a consistent environment that supports their travel. Over open oceans, the sense of direction is maintained without visible landmarks. Subtle cues such as the position of the sun, the pattern of light on water, and shifts in wind all contribute to a quiet form of navigation. Some seabirds remain in motion for long periods, resting only when necessary. Their flight becomes a continuous rhythm, rising and gliding with the movement of air currents. Thermal currents, formed by rising warm air, allow certain birds to gain height without flapping their wings. They circle slowly within these currents, ascending with minimal effort before gliding forward again. This pattern repeats, creating a smooth cycle of lift and glide that conserves energy across long distances. In grasslands, migration may appear as a slow drift across wide open space. Herds spread out, grazing as they move, covering ground gradually rather than in a single continuous push. The movement is often so slow that it is difficult to notice from one moment to the next. Only over time does the change in position become clear. In colder waters, some fish migrate vertically each day. They rise toward the surface at night and descend again during daylight hours. This daily movement is part of a larger seasonal pattern. The reasons for this vertical migration are connected to feeding and safety. Darkness provides a level of cover, while deeper water offers protection during brighter hours. Insects carried by wind currents may travel across regions without direct control over their path. Their journey becomes part of a larger atmospheric movement, guided by forces beyond their immediate perception. Even within this movement, there is a form of balance. The wind does not move in a straight line indefinitely. It shifts, slows, and changes direction, creating varied paths across time. Migration also occurs in smaller, less visible forms. Tiny organisms in soil or water shift their position in response to moisture, temperature, and chemical signals. These movements are subtle and continuous, contributing to the overall pattern of life adjusting to changing conditions. In mountainous regions, migration can follow elevation gradients. Animals move upward as temperatures warm and vegetation becomes available at higher levels. Later, as conditions change again, they return to lower elevations. This up and down movement creates a vertical cycle that mirrors the horizontal migration seen elsewhere. Snow cover influences these patterns by limiting access to food and water. As snow melts, new areas become accessible, and movement follows. In wetlands, seasonal flooding creates temporary habitats. Birds and other animals move into these areas when water is present, then leave as it recedes. These temporary environments become part of the migratory network, used only for short periods but returning each year under similar conditions. The timing of migration often aligns with reproduction. Animals move to places where conditions support raising young, then leave once that period has passed. This connection adds another layer to the cycle, linking movement with life stages in a quiet and steady way. Energy used during migration remains carefully balanced. Movement is paced to avoid exhaustion, with periods of feeding and rest built into the journey. Fat reserves are often used as stored energy. These reserves are accumulated gradually before migration begins, providing a steady source of fuel. The use of these reserves is measured. Animals do not expend energy quickly but use it in a controlled and consistent manner. In some cases, individuals within a species may follow slightly different routes. These variations can depend on age, experience, or environmental conditions. Despite these differences, the general direction remains similar, maintaining the overall pattern of migration. Juvenile animals often learn migration routes through experience. Their first journey may rely more on instinct, while later journeys incorporate memory. This gradual learning process allows the pattern to remain stable across generations. Navigation during migration can involve multiple systems working together. Magnetic fields, visual cues, scent, and memory all contribute in different ways. No single method is relied upon entirely. Instead, a combination of signals provides a consistent sense of direction. The magnetic field of Earth offers a stable reference that does not change with weather or time of day. Some animals appear to sense this field directly, using it as a quiet guide. Sunlight provides another reference. The position of the sun shifts predictably across the sky, offering a reliable orientation during daylight hours. Even polarized light, which is not visible in a direct way to humans, can be detected by certain species and used for navigation. Migration routes often include areas that provide shelter from harsh conditions. Valleys, forests, and sheltered waters offer protection during rest periods. These areas become familiar stopping points, used repeatedly as part of the journey. In deserts, migration may occur during cooler hours, with movement slowing or stopping during the heat of the day. This adjustment allows animals to conserve water and energy. The pace remains flexible, adapting to conditions while maintaining overall direction. In polar regions, migration is strongly influenced by extreme changes in daylight. Long periods of light and darkness create unique patterns of movement. Animals respond to these changes in ways that maintain balance, moving toward areas where conditions are more stable. The return phase of migration often begins before conditions become unfavorable. This timing ensures that animals remain ahead of environmental changes. It is a proactive movement rather than a reactive one, guided by internal signals that anticipate shifts in the environment. Migration can also affect the behavior of non-migratory species. The arrival or departure of migrating animals changes the availability of food and resources, influencing local patterns. This interaction creates a network of connections, linking species through shared environments. The scale of migration varies widely. Some movements cover only a few kilometers, while others span entire continents. Regardless of distance, the underlying principles remain the same. Movement is guided by gradual change, steady pacing, and consistent patterns. There is a quiet continuity in migration. It does not demand attention, yet it shapes the natural world in profound ways. As these patterns continue, they create a sense of flow across landscapes, oceans, and skies. Life moves, pauses, and moves again, following rhythms that remain steady over time. The result is a world that is always in motion, yet never hurried. Each journey becomes part of a larger cycle, repeating with gentle variation. And within this steady movement, there is a calm consistency that continues without interruption, forming a quiet background that carries on as time passes. In river systems, migration often follows the natural flow of water. Fish move upstream or downstream depending on the stage of their life cycle, adjusting their effort to the strength of the current. The movement is steady, guided by changes in water temperature and flow. As rivers widen or narrow, the pace of travel may shift slightly. In calmer sections, movement becomes slower and more relaxed. In faster currents, the body adapts, maintaining balance while continuing forward. In open landscapes, wind carries faint scents across long distances. These traces can provide subtle information about distant environments, helping guide direction without any visible markers. Some animals pause during migration for extended periods. These pauses are not interruptions, but part of the overall rhythm. Time is spent resting, feeding, and regaining energy before continuing. The length of these pauses can vary. In some places, conditions encourage longer stays, while in others, movement resumes more quickly. Migration routes can change gradually over many years. Environmental shifts, such as changes in climate or habitat, may alter the paths taken. These adjustments happen slowly, often without a clear beginning or end. Despite these changes, the pattern remains recognizable. Movement continues to follow the general flow of seasonal cycles. In the sky, atmospheric layers move at different speeds and directions. Some birds adjust their altitude to find the most supportive layer, allowing them to travel with less effort. This choice is not fixed. It can change from moment to moment, depending on conditions. The result is a flexible path that adapts quietly as the journey unfolds. Ocean currents form large, slow-moving systems that influence migration beneath the surface. Marine animals often align their movement with these currents, conserving energy by moving with the flow. These currents are stable over long periods, creating reliable pathways across vast distances. In colder climates, ice formation and melting create seasonal barriers and openings. Migration adjusts to these changes, with movement beginning when paths become accessible again. The timing is not exact, but follows general patterns that repeat across years. In tropical regions, migration may be linked more closely to rainfall and temperature. Wet and dry seasons create shifts in available resources, guiding movement in a steady and predictable way. The soundscape of migration is often quiet. Even large groups can move with minimal noise, their presence felt more through motion and sound. This quiet movement blends into the natural environment, becoming part of its steady rhythm. Some species migrate in response to subtle chemical changes in their surroundings. These changes may not be visible, yet they provide important signals that influence behavior. The ability to detect these signals allows for movement that aligns closely with environmental conditions. Migration can occur at different speeds within the same group. Some individuals move slightly ahead, while others follow at a slower pace. Over time, the group remains loosely connected. This variation does not disrupt the overall pattern. Instead, it allows flexibility within the movement. In some cases, animals retrace their exact path on the return journey. In others, they follow a slightly different route, influenced by changing conditions. Both approaches support the continuation of the cycle, maintaining connection between locations. The internal systems that guide migration adjust gradually. They respond to light, temperature, and other environmental factors, creating a steady sense of timing. These systems do not operate with precision in the moment, but with consistency over longer periods. Migration is not limited to large or visible animals. Smaller organisms also move in response to seasonal changes, contributing to the overall pattern in less noticeable ways. These smaller movements are part of the same cycle, adding depth and complexity to the process. In forest canopies, birds may move between regions without ever descending to the ground. Their path exists within the layers of trees, hidden from view. This movement follows the availability of food and suitable nesting areas, shifting quietly across time. In aquatic environments, temperature layers create zones that influence where organisms remain. Migration involves moving between these zones as conditions change. The transitions are gradual, with no sharp boundaries, allowing for smooth movement. Some animals rely on the position of the horizon as a guide. The line between sky and land or water provides a stable visual reference during travel. This simple cue, combined with others, supports consistent direction over long distances. The process of migration often begins before visible changes occur in the environment. Internal cues prepare the body in advance, allowing movement to start at the right time. This anticipation helps maintain alignment with seasonal cycles. Energy use remains carefully regulated throughout the journey. Movement is balanced with conservation, ensuring that reserves last until the destination is reached. Feeding opportunities along the way support this balance, providing gradual replenishment. Migration routes can cross areas with very different conditions. Animals move from cold to warm regions, from dry to wet environments, adjusting as they go. These transitions are part of the journey, experienced without urgency or resistance. The return phase often mirrors the outward journey, though timing may differ slightly. Conditions at the destination influence when movement begins again. This creates a continuous loop, connecting different parts of the year. In some species, only part of the population migrates. Others remain in the same area year-round. This variation creates a balance between movement and stability. Both patterns contribute to the overall system, supporting resilience across changing conditions. Migration is influenced by long-term patterns that extend beyond a single season. Cycles of climate, resource availability, and environmental change all play a role. These broader patterns provide a framework within which yearly movements occur. The continuity of migration depends on the stability of these patterns. When conditions remain within expected ranges, movement continues with little variation. Even when changes occur, adaptation allows the cycle to persist. At a global level, migration connects distant regions in subtle ways. Nutrients, seeds, and energy move across boundaries, linking ecosystems together. This connection is not visible in a single moment, but becomes clear over time. The steady repetition of migration creates a sense of order within the natural world. Movement follows patterns that are both flexible and consistent. There is no need for sudden change. Everything unfolds gradually, guided by small shifts that accumulate over time. As these movements continue, they form a quiet network that spans the planet. Life flows along these pathways, connecting places through motion. The result is a continuous, gentle process that supports balance across many environments. And within this process, there is a calm rhythm that remains unchanged, carrying forward without interruption, steady and unhurried as it moves from one moment into the next. This is a quiet continuation, where the rhythm remains steady and unbroken. The pace stays soft, allowing each idea to pass without effort, just as before. Some migrating birds can adjust their internal sense of direction even when familiar cues are briefly unavailable, maintaining a steady course through subtle, layered awareness. The flow continues without change. There is no need to focus or follow closely. Each sentence can drift by gently, like distant movement across a calm horizon. Breathing can remain slow and natural, and the body can continue to settle into stillness. Migration carries on across the world at all times. Somewhere, movement is always in progress. Birds cross open skies, fish move through quiet currents, and animals walk across land in steady, measured ways. In open air, flight paths are shaped by invisible patterns. Wind currents move in broad, gentle streams. Some rise slowly, while others move sideways across great distances. Birds adjust their wings to match these flows, conserving energy as they travel. The motion of wings becomes rhythmic. Lift and glide repeat in a calm cycle. Each movement supports the next, creating a continuous flow that does not require sudden effort. At times, birds travel alone. At other times, they move in groups that form and dissolve naturally. There is no fixed structure, only a shared direction that emerges from common signals. On land, migration often follows the contours of the environment. Valleys guide movement between mountains. Rivers provide direction across wide plains. These natural features act as quiet pathways. The ground changes slowly beneath moving herds. Grass is grazed, soil is pressed, and paths become slightly more defined. Over time, these changes create a visible record of repeated journeys. In forests, migration may take place beneath layers of leaves. Animals move quietly through shaded spaces, following routes that remain hidden from view. The canopy above softens light, creating a calm environment for steady movement. Some species migrate in response to moisture. As rain patterns shift, water becomes available in new places. Movement follows these changes, aligning with the gentle return of growth. In deserts, migration often occurs during cooler hours. Early morning and late evening provide conditions that support movement without strain. During the heat of the day, rest becomes part of the rhythm. The timing of migration is influenced by many small factors. Temperature, light, food, and internal cycles all play a role. None of these act alone. Instead, they combine to create a steady signal that guides behavior. In the oceans, temperature layers form invisible boundaries. Some animals remain within specific ranges, moving up or down as conditions change. This vertical movement adds another dimension to migration. Currents carry life across large distances. These slow-moving flows create pathways that are followed without resistance. Movement becomes part of the water itself. At night, the sky provides a quiet reference. Even without direct visibility, patterns of light and darkness continue to guide direction. The absence of noise and activity supports steady travel. Migration is not constant motion. Periods of rest are essential. During these times, animals remain still, allowing their bodies to recover. These pauses are not interruptions, but part of the overall pattern. Feeding during migration is balanced with movement. Energy is replenished gradually, supporting the continuation of the journey without urgency. Some routes include specific stopping places. These locations provide reliable conditions for rest and feeding. They are used repeatedly, becoming part of the migratory system. In wetlands, seasonal water creates temporary habitats. Birds arrive when water is present and leave as it fades. These cycles repeat, forming predictable patterns. In colder regions, melting ice opens pathways. Movement begins when these routes become accessible. Timing aligns with gradual environmental change. In warmer regions, the cycle may follow rainfall instead of temperature. Wet seasons bring growth, and movement follows the return of resources. Migration does not require precise timing. Slight variations occur each year. These differences are absorbed into the overall pattern without disruption. Young animals often begin migration without experience. Their movement is guided by internal systems that provide a basic sense of direction. Over time, experience adds detail to this guidance. Older individuals may remember specific routes and locations. This memory supports consistency across generations, even as conditions change. Navigation involves multiple signals. Magnetic fields, sunlight, scent, and landscape all contribute. These signals overlap, creating a stable sense of direction. The sun moves in a predictable path across the sky. Its position provides a steady reference during daylight hours. Even when partially obscured, its presence can be sensed. The Earth's magnetic field remains constant. Some animals can detect its orientation, using it as a quiet guide that does not depend on visibility. Scent trails can linger in the environment. These traces provide additional information, helping maintain direction over shorter distances. Migration routes often avoid harsh conditions. Mountains, deserts, and open water may shape the path, creating curved routes that support safer travel. Despite these adjustments, the overall direction remains consistent. Movement continues toward areas where conditions are more favorable. The return journey follows a similar pattern. Conditions shift again, and movement reverses direction. This creates a continuous cycle that repeats across time. In some species, only part of the population migrates. Others remain in place. This variation allows flexibility within the system. Migration influences the environments it passes through. Animals carry nutrients, seeds, and energy from one place to another. These contributions support the balance of ecosystems. Even brief visits can leave lasting effects. Seeds may take root. Nutrients may enrich soil. These changes continue after the animals have moved on. The scale of migration varies widely. Some journeys are short and local. Others span continents and oceans. Regardless of distance, the underlying pattern remains the same. Movement is guided by gradual change. It is paced to conserve energy. It follows rhythms that remain steady across time. There is no single moment when migration begins or ends. It exists as an ongoing process, with different parts visible at different times. At any given moment, movement is happening somewhere. This continuous flow creates a quiet connection across the planet. As this pattern continues, it forms a steady background to the natural world. Life moves, pauses, and moves again, without urgency. The rhythm remains calm and unbroken. Each journey becomes part of a larger cycle, repeating with gentle variation. And as this movement carries on, it creates a sense of balance that does not need attention, continuing quietly as everything else becomes still. The rhythm continues in the same quiet way, without change or interruption. Each movement remains gentle, and each moment follows the one before it with steady consistency. In coastal regions, migration often follows the edge where land meets water. This boundary creates a natural guide, offering both direction and access to food. Birds move along this line in a calm and measured flow, adjusting slightly as the coastline curves. Waves move in repeating patterns, and the wind above them carries steady currents. These elements create a stable environment that supports long-distance travel without sudden shifts. Over open water, there are no visible landmarks, yet direction is maintained. Subtle changes in light, wind, and the movement of air provide quiet guidance. The journey continues without the need for fixed reference points. Some animals travel just above the surface of the water, where air is more stable. Others rise higher, finding layers of wind that support easier movement. These choices change slowly, moment by moment. Inland, rivers act as natural pathways. They stretch across landscapes, connecting distant regions. Animals follow these waterways, using them as a consistent guide. The sound of flowing water remains steady. It does not call attention, but it provides a constant presence that supports orientation. In wide plains, movement may appear almost still. Herds spread out across large areas, grazing as they move. The change in position is gradual, becoming noticeable only over longer periods. This slow progression conserves energy. There is no need for rapid movement when resources can be gathered along the way. In colder environments, snow and ice shape migration. Movement begins when the surface softens, allowing access to food beneath. Timing aligns with gradual melting rather than sudden change. Footsteps leave soft impressions in snow, marking a path that may be followed again. These marks fade over time, returning the landscape to stillness. In forests, the ground is covered with layers of leaves and soil. Movement through these areas is quiet. Each step is softened, blending into the surrounding environment. Light filters through branches, creating gentle patterns. These patterns shift slowly as the day passes, providing subtle cues without distraction. Some animals move at dawn or dusk, when light is soft and temperatures are moderate. These times support steady movement without strain. Others move during the night, when the world is quieter. Darkness reduces disturbance, allowing a calm and uninterrupted journey. The sky above changes gradually, with stars appearing and fading in slow cycles. These changes provide a stable rhythm that aligns with migration. Insects moving through the air often follow wind currents. Their movement is light, carried along by larger atmospheric flows. They do not resist these currents, but move with them. This creates a form of travel that is both passive and guided. Direction emerges from the interaction between the organism and the environment. In water, movement is continuous. Fish adjust their depth, moving between layers where conditions are most suitable. These changes are small but consistent. Temperature, light, and oxygen levels vary with depth. These variations create zones that influence where animals remain as they travel. Migration can also occur in small, almost invisible ways. Tiny organisms shift position within soil or water, responding to changes in moisture and chemistry. These movements are constant, forming a background layer of activity that supports larger systems. In mountainous regions, animals move along elevation gradients. As temperatures change with height, they adjust their position accordingly. Lower areas may provide warmth, while higher areas offer fresh growth at certain times. Movement between these zones creates a vertical rhythm. The air becomes thinner at higher elevations. Movement slows slightly, maintaining balance and conserving energy. Paths form along slopes where repeated movement occurs. These paths are not sharply defined, but they become familiar over time. Migration is shaped by both the environment and internal systems. Neither acts alone. Together, they create a steady pattern that guides behavior. The internal sense of timing responds to external cues. Light and temperature provide signals that are interpreted gradually. This interpretation does not require awareness. It happens quietly, guiding movement without effort. Energy use remains balanced. Movement is steady, and rest is included as needed. There is no excess, only careful use of stored resources. Feeding continues during migration when possible. This allows energy levels to remain stable over long distances. In some species, individuals take slightly different paths. These variations do not disrupt the overall pattern. They add flexibility, allowing adaptation to changing conditions. Despite these small differences, the general direction remains the same. Movement continues toward areas where conditions support survival. The return journey follows a similar rhythm. Timing may shift slightly, but the pattern repeats. This repetition creates continuity. Each cycle connects to the next, forming an ongoing process. Migration links distant regions in subtle ways. Nutrients, seeds, and energy move across landscapes, carried by traveling organisms. These connections are not always visible, but they contribute to the balance of ecosystems. As animals move, they become part of each environment they pass through. Even brief presence can influence the surroundings. When they leave, the effects remain. Growth may continue, and patterns may shift slightly. The scale of migration varies, but the underlying principles remain consistent. Movement is guided by gradual change, supported by steady pacing, and shaped by environmental conditions. There is no need for urgency. The process unfolds naturally, without force. At all times, migration is taking place somewhere. This continuous movement forms a quiet network across the planet. Life flows along these pathways, connecting places through steady motion. The rhythm remains calm and unbroken. Each step, each flight, each current contributes to a larger pattern. And within this pattern, there is a sense of stillness that exists alongside movement, continuing gently as everything else becomes quiet. The movement continues across quiet distances where patterns repeat without urgency. Migration often follows routes that have been used for many generations, yet each journey remains a gentle response to changing conditions rather than a fixed command. In many cases, animals do not travel in straight lines. Instead, they move in gradual curves, adjusting to terrain, wind, temperature, and the presence of water. This creates paths that feel natural and unforced, shaped by the world itself rather than imposed upon it. Some fish move through rivers with a steady rhythm that matches the current. They do not rush against the water, but instead use its flow to guide their movement. Subtle changes in temperature or chemistry can signal the right moment to begin traveling. These signals are not dramatic. They are soft shifts that pass through water and are sensed without effort. In this way, migration becomes a quiet response to information carried by the environment. Insects often migrate in ways that are almost invisible. Small wings move through air in large numbers, yet the motion remains soft and dispersed. Some species travel at night, guided by gentle patterns of light and darkness. Others move during the day, carried slightly by warm air currents that rise and fall with the sun. Their journeys can cover long distances, yet the movement itself remains calm and continuous, without sudden bursts or sharp changes. Ocean migrations take place across wide and open spaces where there are no visible paths. Still, marine animals follow routes that remain consistent over time. Currents, temperature layers, and the Earth's magnetic field all provide subtle guidance. These elements do not create strict boundaries, but rather gentle gradients that can be followed over long distances. The result is a kind of navigation that feels more like drifting with awareness than traveling with urgency. Some animals migrate vertically instead of across land. In the ocean, many small organisms move upward at night and downward during the day. This daily migration is one of the most consistent movements on the planet. It happens quietly, without noise or visible disturbance. The change in depth is guided by light levels, which slowly shift as the sun rises and sets. The entire movement remains steady and predictable, forming a rhythm that repeats each day. In colder regions, migration can involve a slow retreat from areas where food becomes less available. As temperatures drop, animals begin to move toward places where resources remain steady. This movement is often gradual, with pauses along the way. There is no need to complete the journey quickly. Instead, it unfolds over time, allowing the body to remain balanced and the pace to stay calm. Some species rely on memory to guide their migration. Paths are remembered not as exact lines, but as sequences of familiar conditions. A certain type of landscape, a pattern of light, or the presence of water can all serve as gentle markers. These markers do not require constant attention. They are recognized naturally as the journey continues, allowing movement to remain smooth and uninterrupted. Birds that migrate over long distances often conserve energy by gliding. They use rising air currents to stay aloft without constant effort. This creates a pattern of movement that alternates between gentle flapping and quiet gliding. The wings extend outward, and the body remains steady as the air carries it forward. This method reduces strain and allows the journey to continue over long periods without fatigue. Some migrations involve a return to the same place each year. This return is not hurried. It happens as part of a natural cycle that unfolds gradually. The destination is not approached with urgency, but rather reached through steady movement over time. When animals arrive, they often settle into familiar patterns that reflect the same calm rhythm as the journey itself. In desert environments, migration can depend on the presence of water that appears only briefly. When rain falls, it creates temporary conditions that support life. Animals respond by moving toward these areas, but the movement remains measured. They travel at a pace that matches the changing environment, allowing them to arrive as conditions become suitable. Some mammals migrate in groups that remain loosely connected. The distance between individuals may vary, but the overall direction remains shared. This creates a quiet sense of coordination without strict formation. Each member of the group moves in response to the same conditions, creating a collective movement that feels natural and unforced. The timing of migration often aligns with seasonal changes that occur gradually. Day length increases or decreases, temperatures shift slowly, and resources become more or less available. These changes do not happen all at once. They unfold over time, allowing animals to respond without urgency. Migration begins as a continuation of these changes, rather than a sudden reaction. In forest environments, migration paths may pass through areas that provide shelter and food along the way. These areas act as resting points where movement slows even further. Animals may remain in one place for a period before continuing. This creates a pattern of travel that includes both motion and stillness, balanced in a natural way. Some marine animals migrate along coastlines, following the gentle curve of the land. The shoreline provides a consistent reference that guides movement without requiring precise navigation. Waves, tides, and currents all contribute to the flow, creating a pathway that is shaped by the interaction of water and land. In open grasslands, migration can appear as a slow and continuous shift across the horizon. Groups move steadily, grazing as they go. There is no clear beginning or end to the movement. Over time, migration shapes the behavior and structure of species. It influences where they live, how they move, and how they interact with their surroundings. These influences are not abrupt. They develop slowly, becoming part of the natural rhythm of life. As the movement continues, it remains consistent in its calmness. There is no need for acceleration or urgency. Each step, each glide, and each shift in direction follows the same gentle pattern. The journey unfolds as a continuous flow without clear edges or interruptions. The landscape changes slowly as migration passes through it. Paths become familiar, and the presence of movement becomes part of the environment. Yet, the movement itself remains soft, leaving little disturbance behind. In this way, migration becomes a quiet expression of connection between living things and the world around them. It is not a dramatic event, but a steady process that continues over time, guided by subtle signals and supported by calm, consistent motion. Movement continues with the same steady rhythm, extending across distances that feel wide but unhurried. Each step, wing beat, or shift in position follows a pattern shaped by balance rather than speed. The body adjusts in small ways, maintaining comfort while responding to gentle changes in the surroundings. There is no sudden shift in pace. Everything remains even, as though guided by a quiet internal timing that does not need to be rushed. Some migratory paths cross regions where the environment changes slowly from one form to another. Forest may give way to open land, or shallow water may deepen gradually. These transitions do not interrupt the journey. Instead, they become part of it. The movement continues without hesitation, adapting naturally as the surroundings shift. In many cases, animals pause during migration, not because they must stop completely, but because the rhythm includes moments of stillness. These pauses are brief and unforced. They allow energy to settle and the body to remain balanced. Afterward, movement resumes with the same calm pace, without any noticeable change in intensity. The sky often serves as a quiet reference. Patterns of light shift gently throughout the day, and these changes provide a sense of orientation. The angle of the sun, the fading of daylight, and the slow appearance of night all act as signals that require no effort to follow. These signals are consistent and reliable, forming a soft guide across time. Water surfaces reflect these same changes. Light moves across them in gradual patterns, and animals traveling near or within water experience these shifts in a continuous way. The reflection of the sky creates a connection between movement and the passage of time, reinforcing the steady pace of the journey. Some migrations occur at a depth where light is dim and constant. In these places, movement is guided more by pressure, temperature, and subtle currents than by visible cues. Even without clear light, the rhythm remains unchanged. The body continues to move with the same gentle consistency, responding to conditions that are sensed rather than seen. On land, the texture of the ground can influence movement. Soft soil, grass, sand, or stone each provide a slightly different sensation. Animals adjust their steps without thought, maintaining comfort and balance. These adjustments are small and continuous, blending into the overall rhythm without drawing attention. The presence of others can shape the flow of migration without disrupting it. Individuals may draw slightly closer or move a little farther apart, but the overall direction remains shared. This creates a sense of quiet coordination that does not rely on strict formation. Each member of the group follows the same gentle pattern, creating unity through simplicity. In some cases, migration continues even during rest. The body remains in a state of readiness, and subtle internal processes keep track of time and direction. This allows movement to resume smoothly, without the need for sudden awareness or effort. The transition between stillness and motion remains soft and gradual. Temperature changes often occur in layers rather than sharp boundaries. As animals move, they pass through these layers without interruption. The body responds by adjusting in small ways, maintaining comfort and stability. These adjustments are continuous, ensuring that the journey remains calm. Some migratory routes follow gentle slopes or gradual elevations. The change in height is not abrupt, and the movement adapts naturally. As elevation increases or decreases, the pace remains steady. There is no need to accelerate or slow significantly. The body maintains its rhythm, adjusting only as much as needed. Wind can play a quiet role in shaping the path. It may offer slight resistance or gentle support, but it rarely forces a change. Animals respond by making small adjustments in direction or posture, keeping the movement smooth. The wind becomes part of the environment, not an obstacle. In colder regions, the air can feel still and heavy, yet migration continues without disturbance. The quietness of the surroundings enhances the sense of calm movement. Each step or motion remains soft, blending into the stillness rather than breaking it. In warmer areas, the air may carry faint currents that shift slowly over time. These currents are not strong enough to disrupt movement. Instead, they provide a subtle variation that is easily absorbed into the rhythm of travel. Some animals migrate at a pace that allows them to feed while moving. This creates a continuous flow where movement and nourishment happen together. There is no clear separation between traveling and resting. Both occur at the same time, maintaining a steady balance. The sense of direction during migration often comes from multiple sources working together. Light, temperature, magnetic fields, and memory all contribute in small ways. None of these signals dominates completely. Instead, they combine to create a stable and reliable guide that requires no conscious effort. As migration continues, the distance covered becomes less important than the consistency of movement. The journey is not measured in urgency or speed. It unfolds as a continuous process, where each moment leads naturally to the next. The landscape may appear different at various points along the route, but the underlying rhythm remains unchanged. Movement continues with the same calm pattern, regardless of the surroundings. This consistency creates a sense of continuity that extends across the entire journey. Some migrations involve returning to areas that are slightly different from before. Changes in climate, vegetation, or water levels may alter the environment. Even so, the movement adapts without disruption. The path shifts gently, maintaining the same steady pace. In many cases, migration is not a single journey, but a repeating cycle. The same paths are followed over time, creating a pattern that becomes part of the natural world. This repetition reinforces the calm and predictable nature of the movement. The body remains aligned with this cycle, responding to changes in a gradual and balanced way. There is no need for sudden adjustments. Everything unfolds at a pace that supports stability and comfort. As the journey continues, the sense of effort becomes minimal. Movement feels natural and sustained, supported by the body's ability to maintain a steady rhythm. Each step or motion blends into the next, creating a continuous flow. The environment responds as well. Paths become lightly marked, water is disturbed only briefly, and air returns to stillness after each passage. Migration leaves little trace, allowing the landscape to remain calm and undisturbed. Over time, the repetition of these journeys shapes the balance between living things and their surroundings. It creates patterns that are stable and enduring, without requiring force or urgency. The motion continues in the same gentle way, extending across distance and time. There is no clear boundary where it begins or ends. It remains part of a larger rhythm that connects movement, environment, and life itself in a quiet and continuous flow. And in the end, as this long journey continues in complete silence, it becomes clear that movement is never only about speed, but about balance. Some paths do not end, they simply change form. Some journeys are never truly finished, they continue in another shape, another direction, another rhythm. And perhaps this is the real truth. That life, nature, and every form of motion are moving within one soft, continuous circle, where the line between beginning and end slowly fades away. Now everything begins to quiet down. And even this endless flow gently dissolves into stillness for a moment. Just one soft breath. and then complete silence.